Welcome back on the AM show. Back again. Technical glitch in there, but we sorted that out. We're getting into our first conversation of the morning, and we're going to be having an interaction with the spokesperson for government on governance and security-related matters. I'm talking about Boakye-Danquah. He joins the conversation in the studio this morning. We're going to be talking about the politics, even parliamentary politics. He has some aspirations, but I'll not tell you now. He's heading to a certain constituency that has a certain history because of some happenings in the past. But Paul Grave, a very good morning to you. V-mate.
Ciao.
So until this morning...
Very good morning to you as well, Benjamin.
Until this morning, I had no idea he was an old vandal. So he heard my producer, who is also an old vandal, say something, and then he started asking. So, Yeshesha.
Who's that?
Yeshesha.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's good to be here. Thank you really for the opportunity. Viewing public and
let's start with some politics. When you look at the political terrain now and everything that is happening, yes, we may not get into the financial matters, but the finance minister has delivered the mid-year budget review. There's been a lot of backlash. There's been a lot of talk. The Bank of Ghana itself, it's 70 years and the losses it has incurred and everything. But on the political front, we also have your party presidential primary and the cut down to 5 on the chopping board. And I have watched keenly the campaigning, the different parties, Boakye-Danquah and what he's been saying, Kennedy Japan and what he's been saying, Dr Bawumia and what he's been saying. Let's start from there. How is that shaping up in the New Patriotic Party?
The New Patriotic Party is a party of choice for the Ghanaian people, as I've always described. It's the party for the future of the young people in this country. It's a party of ideas, a political party of tradition and ancestral roots in how we are united, because we pulled a lot of different groups across the length and breadth of this country to form the United Gold Coast Convention Party, August 4th in Saltpond. At a time from 1947, as it is, and we prepared for the independence of this country. We are in no doubt in our mind that the 10 persons that have submitted their forms and gone through vetting and passed in the order in which they are going to appear on the ballot box, the form is Kennedy Japan as 1,
Alan as
2, Joe Gatti as 3, Kojo Poku as 4, Ifriya Koto as defender 5,
the defender,
Japan 6 midfielder, Francis Adaimu Numo.
He says he's CR7 though.
Kofi
Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, you've not seen
Kofi,
them?
I have it. Kofi Kudedu Apreku as 8, Boakye-Danquah as 9, and the captain, the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, I have given my top 5 out of this. I mean, because you know they were having a Super Delegates Congress. August 26th of this month, which is just in a few weeks. The campaign is heavily heated. We are reminded that whoever remains successful as a flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party in November 4th would campaign on the legacy of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, because that's how it's always been. In the 2007 election, you recall that when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won the primaries, he campaigned on the successes of the then President John Agyekum Kufuor. So clearly, my top 5, and I've stated it unequivocally, that the captain is going to lead clearly. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the captain band number 10, is going to be part of the first 5.
Why do you think he's the captain? And I mean, I know for a fact that Team Bawumia would have wanted it to be for the candidate to be number 1. I mean, it's always been Estroho and the first on the ballot. At number 10, some would say you are way down the bottom, and this has been about the captain and the captains.
Oh no,
and number 10 is not always a captain.
Well,
yes, Kylian Mbappe after Marquinhos is
worldwide. You realize that numbers are significant.
And Abedi Ayew Pele.
Absolutely.
But it's not always the case.
No, of course.
Steve Napier was not
it's not a problem. But I mean, in this football team, clearly, I mean, in the number of 10. I think that regardless of wherever anyone is placed, it's about one who has the competence, one who has the character, one who has the leadership ability to be able to lead this Ghana and this country forward. And I think that the rest is left to the delegates to decide. But my top five, without losing sight of that, I mean, I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be part of my first top five. Kennedy Japan will be part of my first top five. Alan Kojo Chemantin will be part of my first top five. Joe Garte will be part of my first top five. And then Boakye-Danquah will be part of my first.
Oh, you're taking out Kwabena Japan, former general secretary of your party. I was particularly impressed when he launched his. I remember that day I was going to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, so it's very fresh in my mind. I was going there to engage the team. You've written him off.
Well, I don't think that I would want to go into those conversations. I mean, you know that everyone has an opinion to be able to decide who they feel that will be part of the top five. I mean, persons have stood before, obviously, and maybe they don't make a lot of successes and wins in the previous primaries that they have stood in. But I mean, no doubt in my mind that these five would make the other day. There could be surprises. I mean, you always will know that. I mean, delegates at the final day will make comparative decisions. But I mean, clearly, the various candidates have been campaigning at various fronts. The president, Danquah Akufo-Addo, has clearly assured the entire country and even party supporters that he has a single vote, just like every polling station executive has a single vote, and he would cast his vote to the person that he so desires will be able to win the 2024 general election and will be able to lead this country forward. And our New Patriotic Party is not a party where we impose people on us. I mean, in the last 2007 primaries, you realized there were 17 people. Now it's 10 people. And so our political party...
And of course, that was a precedent that the party didn't want to replicate, for which reason, since that time, you have had systems in place. But very quickly, I mean, as for the generality of what is going to happen, we've spoken to the likes of Gary Nimakon, among others, so we have a fair idea of what to expect on August the 26th. And there's also that regional bit about the regional polls rather than one general poll. And some people, especially within your party, have railed against that. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that I subscribe to whatever decision that the National Executive Council puts in place. I mean, I am very confident in their leadership and in their wisdom, and I'm certain that whatever decisions that they have made as it relates to this particular election, I think that it's very centralized to make sure that every other person is able to exercise their democratic right and franchise. And I do not think that anyone will be neglected and denied of the opportunity to exercise that. I think that these are learning curves for us as a political party, and we'll come out stronger and stronger.
Okay. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I mean, he said a number of things. I mean, he said things like, when back during the time of the election petition, when we went to court, no one came and said, it drew me so it is time for me to come and sit in court. And then he was quickly reminded that, look, those who were referenced in the court documents, those who were a party to the suit, there were certain names there. And your name was there. Alan Kojo Chemantin, for example, didn't have his name there. How would he have come to sit there and be a witness? So that has been jettisoned, thrown aside. There is also the issue when he says, I come from the Kufuor stock, in a way. I mean, he brought me into the party and all of that. That has also been thrown out. That, look, I've forgotten who said it, whether it was, I don't want to hazard a guess, but a stalwart made mention of the fact that, no, it was not Kufuor who brought you. It was Dufour. You actually came, and the former Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Kwabena Dufour, who has also contested the presidential primary on the NDC's end. That was how you came in. It was not Kufuor who brought you into the picture for you to try and cloak yourself with. He brought you and appointed you politically. You were already in the system. You served the deputy governor at a point. Then, when Kufuor came, you were also brought into the deputy gubernatorial setup. It appears that some of the things that Dr. Bawumia is saying are not washing with the party people and the generality of the public.
Benjamin, I mean, this is politics as usual. I would.
No, but is it the truth?
I would respond to state that our political party is built in a very strong tradition of the Danquah, Dombo, and Buzia. I mean, and many people are aware of that. And so there are various people that align to Buzia, various people that align to Dombo, various people that align to Danquah, and for all he stood for in terms of his ideologies and how he was able to put together a very formidable party that has stood the test of time over these years. I mean, our political party is a political party that in the then 1947 in the Salt Pond predicted that Ghana was going to gain independence and really fought for the independence of this country. And so regardless, really, in terms of generations that have come successively and who introduced anyone, I think that once you align to the ideologies and once you align to the dictates and the philosophy and center right and free market and libertarian ideologies, and you're able to serve that out very well within your country and also implement that, I think that it sits well in the minds of delegates. And so let's not go into...
but these are not things that anybody, it's your own party members who are bringing them up and saying, you know, if you're going to tout yourself, if you're going to put yourself on that pedestal, then you might as well speak the truth about the matter. You might as well say it as it is. If it's Dufour that brought you in, don't say it is Kufuor, though they sound the same. The letters that start them are different. One is a D and one is a K.
Well, I don't think that the respected and integral Vice President Alhaji Dr. Bawumia would throw lies in the face of facts that are evidential for people to know. I think that in the face of facts and evidence that is there to prove, the Vice President has been very credible and has stated all the truth. I mean, if there is any untruth, I think the persons that he has so mentioned will be able to come out to state that they didn't even represent him in any way. And so the stock of the Kufuor administration has raised credible leaders whom are serving in various aspects of the government and would continue to serve in various aspects of the government. Prime Minister Buzia gave President Kufuor an opportunity to serve in his government and later on became President of the Republic of Ghana. And so anyone that is serving in government and has an opportunity to serve in government has an opportunity to rise to the highest office of leadership.
Let's look, though, at why you think of the 10. Because in any case, of course, if he's the captain, then there should be a team to support him. But why do you think Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the best person to lead the NPP? And here are other things that have been said. He was touted as the economic whiz kid. I don't need to tell you where our economy is. Fuel prices have gone up again. Inflation is what it is. And everything else. IMF, we're there. He is in charge of the economic management team. People blame him. Some of the candidates have blamed him squarely. Some of those contesting against him have blamed him squarely for where we find ourselves economically speaking. Some have said now he's running away from economics and now he's doing digitalization and tech stuff. He's become a STEM, advocate when we all knew him. I remember all those lectures and would flock to the place, would listen to Dr. Bawumia and all of that. In fact, nowadays, Seth Tekwe, the former finance minister, sometimes throw certain jabs at him about, back then, and the questions that were raised, the 100 and something questions. The vice president is not answering those questions. What happened in between? And how can a person like that be the person to lead us out of this, especially as we are in an IMF program? So tell me, why exactly are you for the vice president?
Very simple reasons. I think that we need one who has a great understanding of the dynamics of where the world has gotten to. We are in a new generation of millennials, adaptable generation. We need one who is able to effectively connect the dots with the young people and also be able to drive the agenda of global economy. I mean, the world has changed everywhere. Digitalization is very key. It cannot be underestimated in terms of its impact on a very middle income, low income economy that is striving to be first world and is able to compete with the BRICS and even the G7 countries. I have postulated that the efforts of the vice president under the leadership of President Danquah Kufuor and how well he has served and assisted the leadership of President Danquah Kufuor and the government of President Danquah Kufuor is uncomparable to any other government's vice president in terms of number 2. And you can list them from Accra all the way to the former vice president, John Dramani Mahama, who became a one-term president and stayed there. Clearly, you would see.
You had to add the one term, right?
Well,
it's interesting because some of your people will say he had 2 terms because he served the latter part of the term of Atta Mills and did this. Some would say he served one term. He says he's coming again.
I think it's the perspective.
He says he's going to beat your candidates, whichever person you present.
Well, yeah, I think that the Ghanaian people are aware of the backlash of John Dramani Mahama and how he was able to put the country under doom so for 4 years consecutively. I mean, we have brought energy security, and that.
How exactly did you do that? Are we going to have this conversation?
We're not going to have that conversation.
Okay. All right, then let's go. Let's not go into that.
I need to throw it in for the Ghanaian people to know and appreciate the efforts that our government has put into a lot of the works. But I mean, no doubt, really, very, very clearly that the delegates, this election we are going into is a delegated election. I mean, no doubt in my mind that the delegates will look at the future of the party, the health of the party. The vice president has stated that everyone that speaks for him, people that are in his team, should make sure that we have a party that is united and together to be able to beat the NDC, perennial John Dramani Mahama, and successfully put him into political retirement and maybe serve as an advisor for the country going forward. But
you think he can serve as an advisor, but he can't be president?
Oh, I mean, if you're a statesman, you know that it is stated that penny will fear. Yeah, I mean, if you're a statesman, you can always render your counsel and your advice. Like, you're an old vandal, I'm an old vandal. We can advise the young vandals who are in University of Ghana on how to be able to turn out their affairs. If you look at the achievements of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and that's what we are going to campaign on in 2024. I mean, and it's on parallel. Our great food security industry, YouStart, NEIP, tourism, social protection programs, infrastructure, energy security, climate change. Climate change is key and significant.
The president is head of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, isn't he?
Absolutely. Just this week, I think that it was a conference on children and climate change and all of that. I mean, God has created a very beautiful world. We need to ensure that we
Unfortunately, we are destroying our enviment in Ghana, thanks to Galamsey.
No.
And we have failed.
No,
pathetic.
We
have failed
you throwing that.
No, but the situation has gotten much worse. I mean, how can you say recently, Arusha Ghana, the eco-tourism, eco-conscious group.
Galamsey is on parallel to any other government that existed in this Fourth Republic.
Okay, so let's assume what you've said is the truth. That is. Where are the results?
The results are...
Our river bodies are in a worse state than they were just about 5-6 years ago.
Government has brought in 100 mercury-free
unless you want to tell me, in terms of the
machines to ensure that people do not go into the river bodies to destroy those river bodies.
You're talking about the catcher, is it gold catcher machines?
Yes,
is that what you're talking about?
100,
that's a recent bit. But I'm telling you that over time, our president put his presidency on the line.
And the president has not failed in the fight against illegal mining.
You think he's not failed?
The president has not failed in the fight against illegal mining. The president has been forthright, has met with all various stakeholders within this country, from the chieftains, from the chiefs who are custodians of the land, to the various mining sites. We have tried to make sure that there's responsible mining in this country, especially from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
But Paul Grave, I said this to you before. I'm going to say it again. It's not about it,
that the efforts that our government is putting
Paul Grave, in place, and that's the problem. It's not about effort. It's about results.
Yes.
Let me tell you, typical scenario. I come here on the show, okay? I was brought into this media entity. I was sought after, brought here. If I came and I did not deliver on this show, conversations would happen. No, that's the reality. Conversations would happen. Oh, the guy is not cutting it. No. Okay, let's get a replacement. It's brutal. It is cutthroat. You must show your worth and you must prove your mettle. In this instance, Mr. President said X. We are seeing Y. The water bodies, it is clear, go out there. Now even, is it the black water or the white water, is getting affected by some of these activities. Our neighbors in Ivory Coast and other countries, Burkina Faso, have said, look, you guys are creating a lot of pollution, and then now because the water bodies cut through, it is affecting us. The evidence is there.
Benjamin.
So if you tell me that effort without results is nothing.
No, Benjamin, I will tell you that the successive governments' neglect of the canker on irresponsible mining is what has brought us where we are today. Our government and the leadership... Yes.
Are you serious?
Our government and the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has sought to take the bull by the horn in solving and addressing the long, irresponsible mining in this country. Obviously, it's not going to take a day. It's going to take many more efforts And these efforts would reach and arrive at some results. It's important that we have a holistic view of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's fight against illegal mining. And it says civic responsibility of every single Ghanaian.
Okay. Let's just delve briefly, since we've already started talking about governance under Akufo-Addo. Let me just address one issue under Akufo-Addo. So you've seen the latest Auditor General's report, and it's part of what has come out from it. Again, waste and all of that. Over 15 billion Ghana cedis. Interestingly, about 99.something%, about 99.69 or so, is recoverable. The question is whether we'll be able to recover all those sums of money. The ECG also in there, over 150 million or so, that cannot be accounted for, meter payments and all of that. Some have said the ECG shouldn't come under these scrutinies and all of that. But Akufo-Addo's governance, you are government spokesperson on governance and security. There is what is happening in Niger. I'll get to it shortly. But there's also governance in terms of corruption and dealing with it. And then there's Cecilia Dapa and $1 million stolen when they weren't even aware that this money had gone. 300,000 euros, $95,000 in jewelry, 95,000 CDs, clothing, suits, $3,000 a piece, a number of them, all of that. Are we getting our governance right? And based on what you tell me, link it to what is happening in Niger, because guess what? The happenings there, when the military took over, they said there's corruption. There are governance issues. You are not living up to expectation, President Mohamed Bazoum. There are security gaps. And it's been said, rather than just focusing on regime security as a broad thing under national security, we should be focusing on human security. Economic rights of the people, economic security. Do the people have jobs? Do they have anything viable to do? If someone has something viable to do, they will not go and stand somewhere in a corner and foment trouble. But when they don't, that is where you see trouble brewing. And it took one person to self-immolate, set himself ablaze. And that was the spark of the Arab Spring. I keep saying when I mention these things that I have seen civil strife. I know what it is. Many people my age in Ghana haven't seen that. I have. It is the worst thing you want to happen. But at the same time, the writings on the wall, if you ignore them, your take. Over to you, sir. Joe Lati.
Benjamin, I'll tell you, governance is about systems all around the world. Our government has put in enough robust systems to address corruption. Anti-graft agencies in this country, from the Office of the Special Prosecutor to YOCO and all of that, anti-graft agencies have been the most funded and resourced in this country than any other government. The evidence
you keep talking of
to show
purported efforts. So, where are the results?
No.
When it comes to the corruption index, we keep going up. When it comes to
it's
even
a perception.
No. Wait for me. There's the corruption perception. There's the corruption perception index. Okay. There's the CPI, which is perception, and there's what the Ghana Statistical Service also came up with. That is not perception. I just wanted to correct you on that. It is not perception.
Benjamin, I still stand on my defense that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has built systems, because you asked the question around governance. Governance is about systems. It is systems that would effect changes that we also derive in this country. Our government has sought to support the anti-graft institutions in this country, make sure that we have given them all the necessary resources and support that they need to be able to do their work. And the anti-graft agencies, YOCO, Office of Special Prosecutor, and then also making sure that they are investigating related corrupted activities. I come to Niger. When we ask of the issues around Niger and the coup d'etats of democratically elected governments, across the sub-region of West Africa, we should be very, very concerned as a people within the community.
But we
ECOWAS has had a meeting this week in Abuja. The president and chair of ECOWAS is Tinubu.
Invited
all of the regional heads, close to about 8 presidents represented. Our president, Dr Bawumia, was in the meeting in Abuja. Benin president, Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, Senegal, Togo were represented. The president of Niger sent a representative to represent him, and then 2 foreign ministers from Liberia and Cape Verde attended the meeting. I'll tell you, I mean, I think that ECOWAS has condemned the coup d'etat, has given the junta in Niger 7 days ultimatum to release the president of Niger. I think that everyone who is a supporter of democracy and good governance would support this call from the ECOWAS community. The respected religious leader, the Sultan of Sokoto, was in Niger yesterday to ensure that these processes goes on very well.
That was an interesting bit, though, because not a political leader, but a traditional leader. Who is being brought in at this point.
I mean,
but it's also about the history.
Yes, his history really just dates back to the 19th century, thereabout, when his leaders would always call on presidents, and presidents will call on them to render advice and counsel. And also, he's at where he is very close to Niger in terms of border town to Niger, and he's gone into Niger to hold peaceful conversations. I mean, I'm in no doubt in my mind that his visit, the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammadu Saudu Abubakar, his visit to Niger would yield the necessary fruits and results, and to be able to meet with General Aduram Chikini, the Niger Banta, to address these issues. It's important.
Are you referencing Colonel Abdurrahman?
Yes.
Because he's the spokesperson for them.
Yes, but then the military junta is General Abdurrahmani Chichani. To make sure that these rules are gone on very well within the sub-region of West Africa.
Are you optimistic? Very quickly, though. Are you optimistic? Because we've seen some of these. The only difference is the threat of military action this time. And Nigeria has already taken the step to cut off electricity supply to Niger. I spoke to Professor Inning, Professor Vladimir Chidanso, Professor P.A.J. They don't feel that is the way to go. This threatening, hanging carrot and stick, but they say it's not the way to go. Because we've tried it with Mali, it didn't work. Guinea, it didn't work. Burkina Faso, it didn't work.
The language of conflict is peace, really. And I think that every measure that needs to be put in place to ensure that the countries arrive at peace is key. I'm concerned about the support that has come from Burkina Faso and Mali in terms of trying to call for a war within the sub-region. I think that everyone should exercise restraint. We do not want to go to those dark years of civil unrest within the various countries. So I'm optimistic, really, that the religious and spiritual leader, the Sultan of Sokoto, will be able to reach some good conversations within the 7 days ultimatum that has been given.
Okay. Well, let's be optimistic, because this trend from 2020, this is the 7th military intervention. In Western and Central Africa, this is the 7th.
Yeah.
And that gives a lot of cause for concern.
We need to strengthen our democracy very strongly.
But just to wrap the conversation, you have political ambitions. And the constituency you are targeting is one that historically has had its own, rich history. But then we saw a negative blot many years ago when the legislator for that constituency was murdered in cold blood. I'm talking about Boakye North and the former member of parliament there, JB-Danquah. Why are you targeting Boakye North? Tell us about that ambition.
Well, so Benjamin, you're aware that the party has rules and regulations that has been put in place to ensure that internal elections are run credibly. The guidelines are very clear for everyone to know. Parliamentary nominations have been open for orphan constituencies, which are constituencies where we do not have certain MPs, and then constituencies where we have certain MPs, the nominations are going to be open in December, 20th of December, and then the elections will be done February 24, 2024. Boakye North is where I come from, is where I hail from. I'm from Old Tafo, I'm from Kordiafie, Ochiami Diafie, Abdullah Krome's home and all of that. You'll recall that in the then, John Ajekum Kufuor government, it was one constituency where President Nana Dankwa Kufuor was the MP. And then in 2004, it was divided into Boakye North and Boakye South. Boakye North borders Old Tafo, New Tafo, Osiem, Kokrentume, Enyinesing, Osiem, and Etukrom, and all of those neighboring communities, Nobi, and all of that. Boakye North because that's where my family roots is. That's where I am able to support my people within the constituency and also serve them. You stated very clearly that the Boakye-Danquah Edu was a former sitting MP from 2004 till his unfortunate demise. He's an uncle, and so
he was your uncle.
He is my uncle. May his soul rest in peace. And I'm very sure that
you're trying to step into your uncle's shoes.
Well, I'm trying to step into my uncle's shoes and also continue in service, really, for my people. And I mean, I'm not wanting to use this platform to campaign or even remind people of their sorrows, but I stepping into the constituency really gives me a perspective of how constituency politics is. Power resides in the hands of delegates. And I'll tell you of a truth, Benjamin, the delegates have needs, and when those needs are met considerably over the years, you would realize that they would want you to continually represent them. All 524 people cannot be in parliament from the delegates, or thousands of people from the constituency cannot be in parliament. They'll just need one person who can be able to represent them and represent their interests and represent their character and represent their desire, and one person who will be able to bring the needed development that is so needed. So that is why I'm targeting the Boakye North constituency. I'm certain that when the nominations are opened and I pick up my form and I share my manifesto with the constituents based on what I have done in the constituency and the assistance and support that I've brought to the people, I'm sure that they would give me the order of the day on the 24th of February 2024 when we go and cast our vote.
All righty. Thank you, Paul Gray, for having joined us for this conversation. Any final words, briefly?
Well, final words are to wish the 10 flag bearers, I'm hopeful the best in the general super delegate election to 5. We call for peace to make sure that the delegates, super delegates really choose the best 5, and wish everyone the best. Wish my friends who are preparing for their own internal election from the orphan constituencies the best. I pray that the best candidates win. I have some interest in some constituencies, but I pray that no best candidates win so that we can all be in the 9th Parliament together to advance the governance in this country.
Paul Gray, Boakye-Danquah, is government's spokesperson on governance and security. Now, before we get into our very next segment, water is life, and awake purified water is treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. That's why I'm proffering it for you this morning. If you're thinking of size, they have quite a range. 330 milliliters, easy to fit into the backpacks or bags or lunch boxes of the little ones as they go to school, and they are good to go. 500 milliliters, 750 milliliters, 1.5 liters for the heavy drinkers like me. You know, you need about 2 liters of water every day, averagely. They've got you covered. But even beyond that, if you're thinking of something for your home or office, something bigger, I have good news. They have 19-liter jar bottles that are ideal for those situations. Put them on your dispenser and you're good to go. And, of course, this too, the most heartwarming aspect of all of this. For every bottle of awake purified drinking water that you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. Heart disease and its treatment it goes through the roof in terms of cost. We can help those who cannot afford such treatment every time we purchase awake purified drinking water. It's another quality product from Casapreco Company Limited. If you'd like to purchase in bulk, just reach out to them on this number, 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Now, coming up next, government has come under fire for neglecting the Saglemi housing project. Today, we'll be hearing from Works and Housing Minister Francis Assenso-Boakye right here on the AM show. He's been interacting with my colleague Elton John Brobe. Enjoy.